It's 53-man roster time, not the real one, but our guesstimation. I'll tell you who I think makes it and who doesn't in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Another edition of Locked On Jaguars. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast, where it's your team every day, and we thank you for making us your first listen. A quick reminder that we are free to subscribe to on our YouTube page. Make sure you tap into the YouTube page, hit the subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications whenever we drop a show. Make sure you hit that like button also. If you listen to podcasts, audio-wise, make sure wherever you do that, you tap in every single day to make sure you don't miss an episode because it is your team every day. Got to give a special hello to you all and let you know that today's show is sponsored by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to and faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Shout out to my everydayers, man. The everydayers, the ones that peep in on the show every single day. We appreciate you. We call them everydayers because that's exactly what they do. And if you want to be one, you can too. Just make sure you tap in, drop a comment in the comment section, or follow me on Twitter at Shop Talking Wig and hit me up. All right. Waited long enough to do this. I'm going to do it. I got my roster here, my training camp roster. I had to write one name in because it wasn't there. But I'm going to do a 53-man guesstimation. That's what it is right now, and I'll explain this to you right now. This is not who I hope makes the team. This is who I believe that they are going to choose to make the team, and there's a lot of factors that go into that. Sometimes coaches just stand on the table for certain people. The assistant coaches, the position group coaches, they will stand on the table, and it's almost like saying, man, you want me to do my job? Well, guess what? I'm trying to do my job in a way that will allow us all to be successful. And if you don't give me a chance to do my job with the parts and the pieces, or as Bill Parcells once called it, the groceries, if you don't allow me to do my job with the people that I think are going to be the best, then I won't be able to be at my best. That being said, sometimes that has nothing to do with who the coaching staff decides to keep or who the GM decides to keep. Sometimes they tell them to coach what I gave you. That is enough. You have to coach what I gave you. Many times guys don't want to get rid of folks that they handpicked, whether that be a scout, whether that be a GM or a coach. Don't get me twisted. Don't get it twisted. I think everybody wants to win think about it. Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to win. Everybody has the same goal. Everybody wants to get it done. But sometimes people just don't see it the same way. So what I did here was I took the obvious. It was very difficult for me to do this, by the way. And I call it a 53, but it's more like a 57. And I'll tell you why. Because Cam Robinson's getting suspended for 4 games. But in week 5, he'll be on the team, right? So you can count him. Blake Hance was out. Cooper Hodges is banged up with an injury that's going to take him out for a while. Maybe he'll be on the PUP list. I'm going to include more than 53 people. It's probably going to run up to like 57 people. And that's because guys are hurt. Like, for instance, Dewan Smoot right now is not out there playing around. But Dewan Smoot is going to be on the team. They gave him a contract, got guaranteed money. He's going to be on the team. At what point, I don't know. So I'll include him as well. There are some people, however, that I won't include. And there's some people that personally I like, and I don't think that they're done in the league, and I don't think that they are done being successful in the league. It's just that I'm of the belief that the Jaguars are going to build their team and keep their team a certain way. And I'm only going based on certain things, right? Certain things that I've seen happen, certain things and people that you've sort of seen them talk about in certain ways. Antonio Johnson's banged up. He's not going to play this week in the preseason game. Is he going to be ready for the regular season opener? If he's not, then they'll have him. So the thing for me was I didn't want to do a whole pup list deal because I know that means guys have to stay out for a certain period of time, and I'm not going to do the whole hour thing. But I want to go to like 57. But it's going to include like 4 guys that are either injured or not available right away. A lot of these guys that I'm not going to mention are probably going to be on the practice squad if they don't get picked up somewhere else. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is go through these names in the rest of this segment and majority of segment number 2. And then in segment number 3, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to assess the team that I've decided, tell you where they're a little bit short and where they can seek help. Not the individual players that will be available because you don't know who other teams are going to want to trade. But I will tell you where I think they should seek help from a position group standpoint and go ahead and explore if there's going to be something out there and something available. So we'll do that. All right. So we're going to get to the obvious. The obvious, we're going to start at the quarterback. I think they're going to keep 3. Obviously, the one that matters most is Trevor Lawrence, CJ Beathard, and Nathan Rourke. The 3 guys that they have in camp. I think Rourke has really done, as you see, if you're watching on YouTube, you see my light going on and off. I think Rourke has done enough. I think they're probably going to keep 2. But Rourke has done enough that they say, you know what, we need to keep him around a little bit. And I think he could really be an asset. I think Rourke could be a number 2 on a lot of teams in this league. A lot of people around town got Rourke jerseys. They're thinking about getting Rourke jerseys, and they're talking about Nathan Rourke. Let me cool y'all off with that a little bit. This is Trevor Lawrence's team, and I know y'all are doing it for fun, but I've never seen a backup quarterback get this much love in a city where the starting quarterback gets a lot of love. Normally you do that when you're not so sure about the guy in front. But man, we love the everyman guys around here, man, and they'll go get a jersey and they'll make him a folk hero, even when the dude that's the actual quarterback is supposed to be the savior of the franchise. It bewilders me that happens. But those are the 3 guys. So we're going to keep these numbers up. That's 3. Running back 4. Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, Jermichael Hasty, and Dearness Johnson. Not necessarily in that order. So that's 4 guys right there. So now we got to 7. We're going to go to the wide receivers real quick. The wide receivers, of course, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones. Jamal Agnew is listed as a wide receiver. He has to be listed somewhere. He's a kick returner, but that's exactly where he's going to be. He's going to be at the wide receiver position. He's also the punt returner. This is what we call roster value. He's the punt returner, kick returner. He can play a little slot back, and he can play slot wide receiver. And from what I heard, he can play corner too. So this is the ultimate roster value guy in the NFL right now. So that's 4. We're going to 6. So if we go to 6, that means Parker Washington, who I believe is going to make this team, and Elijah Cooks. So that leaves off Tim Jones and Austin, Kevin Austin Jr. You're going to see some of these dudes, Oliver Martin. These guys are going to either revert to the practice squad, or they may be dealt or picked up by other teams. And let's do the tight end. So I did 6 wide receivers, so that's 13. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept an extra one. If they did keep an extra, I think it'll be Kevin Austin or Tim Jones, one of the 2. I don't want to sit there and mention everybody. I'm not going to mention, if I just say they'll keep one guy, I'll mention 1 or 2. I'm not going to mention 5 just to hedge my bets. Tight ends, 4, Evan Ingram, of course, Luke Farrell, Garrett Prince, and Brenton Strange. That leaves Leonard Taylor as the odd man out, but he may get picked up or put on the practice squad. So right there, we just named 17 guys. We haven't even got to the offensive line yet, but I am going to get to the offensive line. I'm going to get to the entire defense, and then I'll give you my entire assessment of everybody and tell you exactly where I think the Jaguars will probably hope to get a little bit of help. We'll do all of that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars on a Wednesday. I hope you're checking out Locked On NFL too, because I'm on Locked On NFL today. So make sure you go over and check that out, me and James Rapine. All right, so we'll go through the rest of it in segment 2 in just a second after I tell y'all about today's sponsor, and that would be Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs make you look good, man. Bird Dog stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. I'm 54 years old, and somebody actually called me fine the other day. I love it. I really do. They fit way better than regular shorts that are made of stiff, restricting cotton. Bird Dogs fix this issue by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki but stretches so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement at all. What you need to do is go to birddogs.com/lockedon NFL or enter the promo code lockedon NFL for a free white tech hat with your order. That's birddogs.com/lockedon NFL or promo code lockedon NFL for a free white tech hat. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We absolutely promise you. You have to know how good these shorts going to make you look and how cool they're going to make you feel and how cool they're going to make you look also. It is Bird Dogs. All right, man, we're going to roll along here on our 57-man show here on Locked On Jaguars. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast, where it's your team every day. We always thank you for making us your first listen. So far, we got 17 people. Let's get this out of the way. We got a kicker, a punter, and a long snapper, right? That's Logan Cook, Brandon McManus, and Ross Matisic as soon as he gets healthy. So there you go. Though that's 20. Now we're up to 20 people, all right? We have 37 more to go. If you notice, I keep saying that because at the top of the show, I told everybody that what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually name more than 53 because 4 guys are kind of banged up or suspended or not there right now that we know are going to be on this roster like week 2, week 3, or week 4, whenever their issue, whatever that issue is, whenever that issue ends. So I decided that we're going to keep 10 offensive linemen, right? This is one of those situations where they probably won't. They'll keep 9, maybe 8, but probably 9. But the extra name that I'm going to name is probably going to be one of those people. Or maybe 2 of those names will be 2 of those people that run our 53-man roster up to 57. Okay, so the obvious, Ben Barch at center. Luke Fortner at center. Right guard is Brandon Sheriff. Right tackle, Anton Harrison. Left guard, for the sake of what we're doing now, Walker Little. And left tackle, Cam Robinson. That's 5. Now, Cam won't be there early, so Walker Little goes out to left tackle. Left guard is Ben Barch. So that's your 6 offensive lineman. Tyler Shatley will still be on this team because Tyler Shatley is going to be on every Jaguar team until he isn't. That's number 7. I believe, unless he goes on IR, I believe Cooper Hodges has a chance, is going to make the team. I don't know the extent of his injury yet. I don't think the information is totally out there, but he's going to be out a while, right? But that's why I said 2 of these names. So you got Cooper Hodges, Blake Hance, who's been a little bit banged up, but he's done enough. That would be, is that 8? I think that's 8, right? Because I named, Shatley. Yep, Shatley was 7. Hodges was 8. Blake Hance, number 9, would be Blake Hance. Number 10 is Darrell Williams. There you go. Darrell Williams. Now, if they move on from Shatley, Darrell Williams is obviously your backup center. But Shatley has a little bit of versatility, and you got guys banged up and got guys not around. So, therefore, we're at 30 people. So, that's going to leave me 27 to get on defense, right? So, that's 10 offensive linemen. So, let's go over here right now and get to this defense, and this is going to be very, very interesting. I'm going to work at that linebacker spot because the linebackers also consist of the edge rushers, right? It's the off-ball guys, the Mike linebacker, the Sam, the Will, and all of this stuff. And I'm going to give you everybody that's involved. First of all, the guys in the middle. We're going with Foye Oluokun, obviously. Devin Lloyd, obviously. Chad Muma as the first reserve. And then we're going with Ventrell Miller. That means that Shaq Quarterman is left out in the cold a little bit on this one. He's got a future. He's going to still play in the NFL. I just think if Ventrell shows up a little bit, he's a little more sudden than Shaq, and it might spell the end for Shaq Quarterman. So I think they're only going to keep 4 what you call Mike or off-ball linebackers types in this scenario. Outside linebackers or edge rushers, Devin Lloyd, Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker. Those are your starters, okay? So we're going with 5 people here, and I'm going to explain why. Because even though they list Deshaun Dixon as a defensive tackle to play down, on this roster, he's still listed as a linebacker. So I'm going to go as backups, Yasir Abdullah, Kaylavon Chason. I know y'all want to hear it. That's why I hesitated. Kaylavon Chason, they love him. He's going to make the team. I don't know what else to tell you, man. I don't know what else to tell you. Deshaun Dixon will be the other outside linebacker. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 9. That's 9. Yeah, that is 9. So we got, let's do it again. Oluwakan, Devin Lloyd, Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, Kaylavon, Deshaun Dixon. All right, that's 6. Chad Muma is 7. Ventrell Miller is 8. Yasir Abdullah is 9. That means my man Jordan Smith did make it here. I think they'll pull him back on the practice squad. If there's an injury in this last game, this changes. I think Jordan gets picked up by somebody. I just think the injury set him back a little bit last year, and he's not quite where he hoped to be. He's played well in the preseason. It wouldn't be surprising if they kept him, because this is another situation where that is a guy that Trent Baalke handpicked. They traded up for him. I really hope I'm wrong about this, because I like Jordan Smith as a person and I like him as a player. Let's go up front. There's a reason why I left Deshaun Dixon with the linebacker group, because I'm going to insert Dewan Smoot along with the defensive line. Even though he's not ready to go right now, we know he's going to be ready. They gave him over $6 million to come back. So you're going with Dewan Smoot. And Dewan Smoot would mean 8 here. So that's 9 and 8. That's 17 to go along with the 30. This is why I needed those extra 10 people for those extra people, because of the DBs, right? So Smoot is another guy that's not quite ready and might not be ready to go before the early season starts. So now you got 3. You have 2 on the offensive line and 1 here. So that's why I'm saying I needed the 57, because I'm not going to not include a guy they're paying $6 million and a guy who I know is going to make the team and a guy who they signed when he was hurt. So we'll go there with that. But let's go with Devon Hamilton, who's banged up right now. Foloronzo Fadakazi, who's banged up right now. Roy Robertson Harris. I think those are your 3 starters when all is said and done. Jeremiah Ledbetter, Adam Gostis, Tyler Lacey, and I want to say Henry Mondo. Those are the 8 plus Smoot that I'm going with, right? So now we get to the back end. It's going to be some familiar names. One of them that's banged up. I'm putting 10 people from back here, and this is what takes us up to 57. One of them's banged up right now, and that's Antonio Johnson. So we have to factor in he's the 4th player of those guys that I said he's on the team, but where do they put him? Is he a PUP list candidate? Do they just keep him out for a couple of weeks? He's on the injured list, and so they are able to keep an extra person. But I think Antonio Johnson makes the team. The reason why I mentioned him up top, too, is because I wanted to get that out of the way. So we settle those 4 guys. That takes us up to 57 over 53. Now let's get to the rest. Rayshawn Jenkins and Andre Sisco are your starters at safety. Tyson Campbell and Darius Williams are your starters outside. Your nickel will still be Trey Herndon, but I think this club is super, super stoked about Greg Jr. at that spot. I think both of them make it. So that would be 6, 7 if you include the kid Antonio Johnson. I think Daniel Thomas still makes this team because of special teams. I think Devon Wilson still makes this team because of his potential. And then I think Andrew Wingard makes this team because Dewey always makes the team. So that's 10 guys. That's 10. So that takes you up to 57. I told you it was hard. Now, when these other guys come back, like if Smoot comes back, I think that spells doom for Deshaun Dixon, right? When Antonio Johnson comes back, maybe they go take a look at Daniel Thomas and go, we're going to go ahead and go with the younger guy. When, those offensive line guys come back, is this finally when they move on from Tyler Shatley? Because, these other guys have bigger bodies. And if Darrell Williams has done well as the backup center, then they move on in another direction. I'll tell you where I think this team is because of all of those things. And the other thing I'll do is tell you where I think they short and position groups that they might need to look forward to in the draft. I'll do all of that in just a second. On Locked On Jaguars, after I let you know that today's show is sponsored and brought to you by LinkedIn Talent Solutions. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Then add your name and your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you are hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to hire. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to and faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right. Third and final segment here on Locked On Jaguars, the 53-man edition. 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 6 wide receivers, 4 tight ends, 10 offensive linemen, 3 specialists, kicker, long snapper. 8 defensive linemen, 9 linebackers, including edge rushers and off-ball or Mike or weak side linebackers or whatever you want to call them, and 10 DBs. If you add that up, that equals the 57 people, with 4 of them not being available early. So the 53 is included in those 4. Now, are they going to look around and scour the waiver wire? It's not going to be like before, where like in 2014, 15, 16, you'd see them make a 53 up, and then all of a sudden 10 of those guys would get cut and they replace them with 10 guys from around the league. That is not going to occur. In fact, you'll see a bunch of guys the Jaguars cut or move on from, end up with other teams, or you'll probably see teams try to make little deals and give the Jaguars some back-end currency in the draft to get some of the guys that make up a lot of their preseason depth. Any regrets on this list? I think Jordan Smith, I think moving on from him is not something that I would do, but I'm trying to get a gauge on what I think they would do. I think Shaq Quarterman is going to be in the league. He's been in the league now. This is his 4th year. I think he's going to be around 8, 9, 10 years. He's going to earn some money because he's dependable. He's reliable, right? Maybe not as explosive, but maybe doesn't have the high ceiling that Ventrell Miller has, but he's a good, solid, hard-nosed football player that the coaches and teams love guys like that, and they should. He's been like that since he was a kid. I knew him since he was 13 years old. Where do we anticipate that they'll try to find some help? Edge rush, depth along the defensive line, even though I think they like a whole bunch of the people that they have now. Edge rush. And you know what I did? I put Henry Mondo here on this list. And I'm thinking that he might be a little banged up, right? He might be a little bit banged up. And I'm going to check it right now. I think the last time I checked, Henry Mondo was banged up. Yeah, he's banged up. He's hurt a little bit, but he was doing a real good job when the season started. So we'll see if Henry Mondo is going to be a part of everything. It'll just be rough right now for them to be moving on and doing things and shaking things up if the guys that they already have aren't healthy. But mainly the names you hear mostly are Ledbetter. While these guys are hurt, you hear Ledbetter, you hear Adam Gostis, and you're hearing the Lacey kid as being the kids that will, or the people that will help this team more than anything. Edge, if a big time player comes up and comes open, like for instance, they don't need a wide receiver, but there's some rumors out there about Stephon Diggs. Like when guys like that come open, the Jags aren't going to go for a receiver, but it's just an example. They'd listen. If I was them, I'd listen to anybody. Like for instance, you don't think for 1 minute I'd call the Chiefs about Chris Jones? I would. Okay. Well, let's take this back. So Henry Mondo was released. I thought so, and I thought it was in. They did. He was released last week with an injury. So that takes one guy off. That takes this down to 56. So now the question is it Dogby? Is it someone like that? Yeah. Henry Mondo reached an injury settlement with the Jaguars. I thought he was gone because I hadn't seen him a lot at practice. And the main thing is there have been so many guys getting banged up and getting hurt that it's kind of hard to keep up with. Yeah. So they waived Henry Mondo from IR with an injury settlement. That was just 2 hours ago by John Shipley. So I'm glad. I thought I had seen something like that. So now what we're doing is they're going to maybe look at Dog B, or maybe just try see where Smoot is. And if they don't have to have anybody, then this list now goes from 57 to 56. And that's a good thing. So some of these things take care of themselves. Hopefully nobody gets banged up. If somebody gets a job or loses a job, it won't be because of injury here in the last preseason game. You don't want things like that to be in the way of making the decisions that you have to make for your football team. But edge rusher, I'm still going to say that they might look in the nickel market, even though they say they like the guys that they have and they know what they have in the guys that they like and have on the roster already. If something comes up on the offensive line with somebody who's proven, but at this point, I don't think that's going to happen because it's hard to find certain positions this time of year. And it's usually the positions where there's a bunch of guys on each team at those various spots. It's easy to pick a running back up. Like, for instance, if a team didn't have a running back right now and they want to call Leonard Fournette, more than capable of being able to help somebody out. That's not the way it works with receivers and offensive and defensive linemen and defensive backs. Generally, if a guy can play, he's in camp right now with somebody, unless it's an Ndamukong Suh or somebody like that. And if they wanted to do that, I think they would have done it already. Positions that they could possibly trade for: edge rusher, defensive lineman. I don't think they're going to give away currency for an offensive lineman that won't be a starter here, or that nickel situation. Those are still things that you really, really have to watch out for. Make sure your next watch is Locked On NFL and your next listen is Locked On NFL every day. Your team every day. The same thing as this podcast. Every day they have somebody on there that can give you all the stories from around the National Football League. All right, man. So here's what I want y'all to do. Get ready to watch this last preseason game and then watch the fireworks start when guys start getting released or teams start dangling folks out there in the draft. On the trade market before the season starts. And after this weekend, y'all, it's all we'll have a little bit of buffer with college football, but mainly it's all about getting ready to go up to Indy for the opening week. And I know you guys can't wait for the home opener in week 2 against the Chiefs. All right. Do me a favor. Y'all take care of each other. And I promise to take care of myself so I can come back here tomorrow and give you guys another show. Until then, y'all take care. And thanks for watching Locked On Jaguars.